Hello, I'm Kate White, and today I'm going to show you how to open a bottle of champagne using a sword. This is also called service de sabrage. One of the most important things to know about service de sabrage is that it's very dangerous. There's a sword involved, there's broken glass involved, so ultimately you need to not do this at home at all. Don't ever try it. It's only going to make you look like a fool in front of your friends when you find yourself in a puddle of sparkling, bubbling wine. Some preparation, if you were to try this, would be you absolutely positively must have a very, very cold bottle of wine. The most important aspect of this cold bottle of wine is actually going to be the neck of the bottle. You want to make the glass as brittle as possible. That way it makes a clean break, and that way you can drink the contents of the bottle. Ultimately, that's what we're going for, isn't it? True capital C champagne is under 90 psi, and that is key to a good break on the bottle as well. It's that pressure forcing the cork away from the bottle that's going to be, once again, key for a good break, key to drinking the contents of the bottle. The first thing you have to do after the bottle's been chilled is entirely remove the foil of the bottle. And then you also need to remove the cage. Always keep a thumb over the cork, and also don't point it at anyone's eyes or anything that will break or anything that might die. Be careful. All right, contents under pressure, thumb on the cork, cage free, foil free. Now we're gonna look at finding the seam of this bottle. So, all glassware, all champagne corks have two seams. And your job, as the sword holder, is to find the weakest seam. Right, so when finding the weakest seam, you're looking for the most obvious seam in the glass. It's where the glassware has not been fused together as well as it could be. There are two on every bottle, and this particular one, we'll notice running up through here, that's going to be our weakest seam. In contrast, the other side, you can hardly see it at all, so that's the best seam. So this is going to be our route to break the glass here at the collar of the bottle, removing the entire collar with the cork still inside of it. So there are some materials that you'll need in this process. The obvious is going to be the sword. I think one of the key things to look for when you're looking for a sword for service de sabrage is something that you can wield around without hurting yourself or others. Probably a good idea, right? And then something that when it strikes the glass with a decent amount of force enough to break a bottle, that it's not going to break the sword itself. You know, you're already putting a cork with glass into the air. The last thing you want to do is send a blade flying as well. Just doesn't seem right. Then another thing that I would highly recommend is a rag. If the glass were to shatter, if you're holding the bottle in the rag, you're far less likely to be hurt. Not that you're gonna try this, right? You're not gonna try this, right? All right, so a firm grasp on this bottle. A firm grasp is going to be very important. You're gonna put the spine, not the sharp end, but the spine of the sword on your weakest seam. So nobody's coming. God, I hope nobody's coming. And a lot of times it's very handy to kind of cue up. Just like baseball players will come to the bat and take a couple of swings, you're going to take a couple swings at this collar. Make sure the bottle is lowish, even I would say as far as horizontal, very close to horizontal. So you're going to go 1, hit the collar, 2, hit the collar, and then aim for number 3. You want a big follow through. It would be like bowling or throwing a baseball. You want to follow through with your arm. So a good thing to do after you've followed through, you know, losing some for your homies, not such a big deal. When that liquid comes pouring out the top, what it's doing is making sure that no glass goes back in the bottle. Once again, our goal is to have a libation, right? So this is a pretty decent break. It would have been most advantageous to not have this, to to have a clean break 100% around the collar, but that wasn't bad. Very important, you need to go find your litter. Don't litter, especially really sharp litter. We'll find it. All right, so one last note. Even though you have purged the edge of the bottle with champagne, and it should be clean, do be careful when you're pouring it. It is glass, it is sharp, but in the meantime, cheers.